Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a sport built on obsession, sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of submission. And when two of the best in the world share the same era, same weight class, same ambitions, what emerges is something the sport never forgets. These are not just matches. These are rivalries that shaped careers, divided communities, and in some cases, changed the direction of the sport entirely. 5 rivalries, ranked from 5 to 1, starting now. At 145 pounds, the featherweight division produced some of the most technically sophisticated matches in Jiu-Jitsu history. And at the center of it, for nearly a decade, were 2 men who seemed built specifically to challenge each other. Cobrinha, 5-time world champion. His guard wasn't just a defense, it was a labyrinth designed to swallow the world's best passers whole. Rafa Mendes, 6-time world champion, 2-time ADCC winner. He didn't just use the berimbolo, he weaponized it into a global phenomenon. Their matches were chess played at the speed of light, the kind of jiu-jitsu that makes coaches stop class and tell their students, "This is the standard." The debate over who was better at their best never fully settled. And in the hearts of those who watched them, it never will. Roger Gracie is widely regarded as the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitor of all time. 10 world championships, never submitted. A cross-choke from mount so reliable that opponents knew it was coming and still could not stop it. Marcus Buchecha Almeida had won 13 world championships before their encounter in 2017. The heaviest, most dominant force in his generation. And by that point, the only active competitor whose resume could stand next to Roger's. They met at Metamoris in 2012. 20 minutes of war, a draw. When Roger came out of retirement in 2017 to face Buchecha one final time, the entire jiu-jitsu world stopped. Roger submitted Buchecha with a lapel choke at the 6-minute mark, then walked off the mat and retired for good, leaving without a single submission loss on his record. It was the last match of Roger Gracie's career. He chose Buchecha to end it. That tells you everything about how much the rivalry meant. In 2003, at the ADCC World Championships in São Paulo, in Brazil, Royler Gracie's home country, an unknown American brown belt named Eddie Bravo stepped onto the mat against one of the most decorated submission grapplers in history. Royler Gracie had won 3 consecutive ADCC gold medals. He was Helio Gracie's son. He was regarded as close to untouchable. Nobody outside of Eddie Bravo's gym expected what happened next. Bravo worked his rubber guard, a system he had developed himself, built around controlling opponents with his legs in positions most coaches considered unorthodox. Royler had never seen it in competition. Nobody had. Eddie Bravo submitted Royler Gracie with a triangle choke. In Brazil, in front of everyone. The BJJ world did not know how to process it. The Gracie family disputed the significance of the result. Eddie Bravo became a cult figure overnight and went on to build 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, an entire system built on no-gi, unorthodox guards, and the philosophy that traditional BJJ had limitations. They rematched at Metamoris 3 in 2014, 11 years later. The match ended in a draw. Royce Gracie confronted Bravo backstage. The rivalry had become bigger than the sport itself. That match in São Paulo changed what people believed was possible. Nobody forgot it. No rivalry in modern submission grappling has generated more heat, on and off the mat, than Gordon Ryan and Andre Galvao. Andre Galvao is one of the most decorated grapplers in history. 6 ADCC titles, 2 in 2011, and 4 consecutive Superfight Championship wins from 2013 to 2019. the most successful superfight champion in the history of the promotion. A veteran who had defended the throne against the best in the world for nearly a decade. Gordon Ryan emerged from the Danaher Death Squad as the most dominant no-gi grappler of his generation. 7-time ADCC champion, a competitor with a submission rate that nobody at his level has matched. Some consider him the greatest no-gi grappler of all time, and there are very few serious arguments against it. What made their rivalry different was what happened outside the competition. Months of public call-outs and social media exchanges. Then in February 2021, backstage at a Who's Number One event, things turned physical. Words were exchanged. Ryan slapped Galvao twice on camera. The video went viral across the entire grappling world. When they finally met at ADCC 2022, Ryan submitted Galvao with a rear naked choke at the 16-minute mark. The sport had its answer. Whatever you think of the personalities involved, this rivalry brought submission grappling to an audience that had never watched a BJJ match before. It made the sport feel like combat sports are supposed to feel: personal, high stakes, and impossible to look away from. Before Gordon Ryan, before Buchecha, before any of the names that define the modern era, there were two men whose rivalry set the standard for what Jiu-Jitsu at the highest level could look like. Gracie and Ronaldo Jacaré Souza were the two best competitors of their generation. Different in every way. Roger methodical, precise, patient. Jacaré explosive, relentless, impossible to contain. On paper, they were opposites. On the mat, they were a perfect storm. Roger called Jacaré the toughest opponent he ever faced. Not the most technical, the toughest. At the 2004 World Championships, Roger locked in a deep armbar on Jacaré in the absolute final. Jacaré's arm broke. He did not tap. He scrambled free, spent the final minute of the match with his broken arm tucked into his belt, and won on points. Jacaré walked off the mat as world champion. Roger walked off visibly frustrated. They met again at ADCC 2005. Roger submitted Jacaré with a rear naked choke at the 8-minute mark, widely considered one of the greatest submissions in the sport's history. Roger went on to win 10 world championships and is regarded by many as the greatest gi competitor of all time. Jacaré became one of the most feared middleweights in UFC history. Two legends, a rivalry that this sport is still talking about. 5 rivalries, decades of history, one art. These are the matches that practitioners study, debate, and replay. The ones that made people who had never heard of Jiu-Jitsu stop and watch. Thanks for watching. Find gyms, events, and opportunities in the Jiu-Jitsu industry at matsidejj.com. If your gym isn't listed yet, claim your free profile today. Drop your favorite rivalry in the comments. Subscribe for more. See you matside.